Greta is a new horror drama film directed by Neil Jordan. It stars Chloe Grace-Moretz, and it stars Isabella Hubbard. It stars Maika Monroe, I think is her name. This is a horror film that is set in New York, and it follows a young woman played by Chloe Grace-Moretz who is feeling kind of lonely. She lives in New York with her best friend, but she's feeling lonely because of a tragedy that she recently endured in her life. One day she's riding the subway, and then she finds this purse, and in the purse she finds an address and an ID, and she's able to take the purse to the address and deliver it to this old woman. The woman's name is Greta, played by Isabella Hubbard, and she starts becoming friends with her. You know, they start hanging out, they start having coffee, and everything is good. And then one day, Isabella Hubbard's character starts acting really, really weird. Like, Greta just kind of starts going off the wall. She starts becoming a little bit more obsessive. All of a sudden, this is a friendship that's a lot more than Chloe Grace-Moretz bargained for, and thus we have a thriller horror movie where there's a crazy old bitch that's following around a younger woman for most of the movie. We've seen this concept before. Usually it's played from a romantic point of view, like it's usually like boy next door type of shit, but in this one, it's more of an older woman who's lonely, and then there's a younger woman who's lonely, and then the older woman starts becoming creepy, and then there you go, you have your movie. I've seen that concept before, but I still thought this looked interesting. Interesting enough concept, interesting enough premise. You need good actors to fill the roles to help bring that premise to life and make it worthwhile. I will say the acting in this movie is the best thing about it. Maika Monroe actually kind of low-key impressed me as the best friend. Like, I thought she was just going to be the typical throwaway best friend who wouldn't have that big a role, would just be there to provide snarky dialogue, but no, she was actually really good. Like, emotionally speaking, in some of the scenes, I was a little bit impressed. Chloe Grace-Moretz, I've always thought was a very talented actress, and it's no different in this movie. She's always able to convey exactly what emotion the script is telling her to convey at that moment. She's always able to pull it off in a way that's very believable and very genuine. While she's really great in this movie, she actually doesn't deliver the best performance in the movie. The best performance in the movie goes to Isabella Hubbard, aka Greta. This chick is just completely loony, and you can tell that the actress Isabella Hubbard is having such a fun time playing a crazy old woman. She is. She's having the time of her life. That's a really good thing, because there are some elements of her performance that feel a little bit over the top, a little bit too silly for the kind of movie they're trying to tell. I really think if you had an actress in there who wasn't able to sell you on the silliness and the absurdity of it, I don't think it would have worked. Luckily, this actress, again, seems like she's having the time of her life playing this crazy woman. If you're into that type of thing and you're just looking for an entertaining time at the movies with a crazy old woman chasing around a younger woman, again, the performance by the older woman is really what makes you want to keep watching. So I'll say the movie is decently shot and directed. It's got some good shots in here. Nothing visually that stood out in my mind, but it's not a bad looking movie in terms of cinematography. I will say the score and the soundtrack for the movie fit really well. It's kind of, even though it's a modern day movie, it also feels like it's a movie that could have taken place a little bit longer ago. The way the music plays it up in some scenes, there's kind of a throwback vibe to it, like one of those auteur, artistic type of horror movies, even though it's not really that type of movie, but it feels like it could be because of the music and the direction at times. Unfortunately, while it has a good premise and it has a good concept and the performances are pretty good, this movie was... yeah, it's just not that good. One of the big issues for me personally in this movie was the characterization of Greta and the main character that Chloe Grace-Moretz is playing. I actually forget the chick's name now I think about it. This is not just a, oh, Hannibal's bad with names thing. This is actually more of a, her character is just not really a character in the movie. They don't do a good enough job at fleshing out her character, fleshing out the relationships that she has in the movie, and making me give enough of a shit about her to really feel invested in this horror movie that was going on. Definitely attribute this to a writing issue, because again, it's not the performance. Chloe Grace-Moretz is doing the best she can with what she's given. Unfortunately, she's just not really given all that much, and I really didn't feel that emotionally invested in her as a character. It really would have felt a lot better for me personally if they had actually done a better job at fleshing Greta's character out. If Greta had seemed like more of an actual person, more of an actual character, and not just somebody who, you know, she's just crazy for the sake of being crazy, I think I would have felt more invested in the chase and in all the creepy shit that was going on. As it stands, the only investment I had came from the performance that the main actress was pulling off. You remember in Spider-Man PS4, Doc Ock, like Dr. Octavius, he's working with Peter in the movie, and we know that he's going to become Doc Ock at some point, but at the same time, I feel like I felt more sad when he became Doc Ock. Like, I knew it was going to happen, but I felt invested in him as a character. I felt invested in his relationship with Peter. Therefore, it added more stakes and more gravitas to the relationship and made the drama hit that much harder when he actually became Doc Ock. That type of principle could have applied in this movie. Unfortunately, I just didn't give enough of a shit about Greta or the main character Chloe Grace-Moretz is playing to actually feel invested, and as a result, I got kind of bored in this movie at different times. The biggest issue I have with the movie, though, is the logical inconsistencies that pop up in this movie. This movie is actually a train wreck when it comes to plot holes. I'm not going to call it plot holes, I'm just going to call it bad writing, because there's just bad writing that fills the brim in this movie. So many things in this script that just pop out where you're just kind of like, this doesn't make that much sense. Why is this happening? Like, over the course of the movie, you're just asking logical questions in your head, and you're wondering why the movie isn't asking those questions either. I'm talking about logical inconsistency, even to the point of making the police and the authorities in this movie look like unforgivably incompetent. Different scenarios throughout the movie where, logically speaking, characters either do something stupid or something happens that doesn't make that much sense, and once you think about it, it just unravels the entire premise of the film. Greta was more of a guilty pleasure at the movies than anything else, and I'm going to put it in Smallville. Alright guys, those are my thoughts on Greta, so tell me, have you seen it? What did you think about it? Or what's your favorite Fatal Attraction type of movie? Put that in the comment section below. Like and subscribe to the Superfan Show. As always, if you like what you see, tell me how you feel, and stay tuned to hear more from the Man of Steel. Peace.